Perfect. Okay then. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar on Getting Fit. Flanders, founder of Cell Workout. I'm Megan Giorgio. I'm the Programme Manager for the Quality Network for Prison Mental Health Services at the Royal College of Psychiatrists. Apologies for the last minute changes in technology. I know that hopefully everyone will be able to get onto this, but I know that maybe some of you won't have got the link in time, but we will be recording it so we can share it with you afterwards. Whilst LJ is speaking, please do keep your camera and your microphone off, just to make sure we don't have any disruptions. Any questions that you would like to ask, please use the Q&A function and we'll be able to put those forward to LJ throughout or at the end, however LJ chooses to do it. Like I said, we will be showing the recording after the event, and that will be on our website, so you can share that with any of your colleagues or people who are interested. And we hope that you find it useful. So now I'll pass you over to LJ. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. I firstly sort of want to start with everyone to see how everyone else is keeping. In terms of lockdown, quarantine, isolation, for me, I've sort of taken to it pretty well. I had 16 months in prison. And throughout those 16 months, there was a lot of different stages of being behind the door and being active. So when the isolation sort of come in with the national lockdown, in terms of coping mechanisms and strategies, was quite seamless for me. And for me, when I was in prison, to start with, when you first go to jail, you have to do your bang up, which is pretty much 22 and a half hours behind the door. So that's when you first arrive to prison, you're on the induction wing and you've got no access to a prison job. You literally just let out for a shower every day, if you're lucky, and a little bit of exercise. So an hour's exercise and a shower, that's pretty much your limit. But when you're in prison, you do try and work your way up the ranks a little bit to try and become a wing cleaner or to work on the servery. So it doesn't matter what the prison job is, you can get out your cell. But what we're sort of experiencing now in prison is, the initial 1 month lay down when you first go to jail before you get your job. There are a lot of people in prison now that are doing 22 to 23 hours behind the door, which is massively, massively hard. So just say if we have to do our 24 hours behind the door with our 1 hour walking guidelines from the government, think they're in a 6x7 cell, access to a TV, and that's it. Just the things that we might take for granted we can do anything at the click of a button pretty much. Whereas for them, they've got a control, they might have some books in there. So the amount of time that they've got on their hands is, it's going to be affecting people's mental health down the line, and especially now. So I know there's been a massive thing about In-Cell Activity Hub, which is, if you want to check that out as well, hashtag In-Cell Activity Hub. I know a lot of different organisations are sort of clubbing together to try and bring as much content to provide to prison at the moment. So that's one thing to look at. And I absolutely know what they must be going through right now. It must be absolutely awful. And just, I can look out my window here and go and take a walk in the sunshine whenever I want. But I really do know them feelings of looking out at the sunshine, trying to reach out to touch some sort of sunlight, and it be so near but so far away is a massive struggle for people. But I do know as well, prison officers, all prisons up and down the country, if you want to keep up to date with what prisons are doing, they're being very, very active on Twitter at the moment. So I think pretty much nearly every prison in the country has their own Twitter page, which they're quite regularly updating. So again, if you want to find out what's going on in a specific prison, that's a really good resource to go and use. But for people, from when I went away and I was doing my 23 hours behind the door, I remember doing a form of a cell workout. So when I first went to prison, it wasn't very good. It was a few press ups. I didn't know about reps, sets, and how to sort of structure workouts. It was pretty much sit ups, press ups, and some squats. Those are sort of the three exercises that I knew. And for my sort of knowledge back then, I thought to get big, to get fit, you needed to use weights. So I the book that I wrote, Cell Workout, you know, I wrote that basically for myself, because I thought when I was in a cell, at that point, I wasn't a personal trainer. I didn't know how to train, and I had no access to the prison gym. So people in prison right now have no access to the prison gym. They might not be personal trainers. So again, the resource that I had the idea for in 2012 has really come to, I've had shout outs from lots of different prisons up and down the country regarding the book, regarding the Inside Time articles that I write, because it's such a relevant resource. And for me, you know, I realised pretty quickly that the prison has a prison regime. You know, you get your doors unlocked at 7:30, say, free flows at 8, you're at work from 8:30 to 11:30, you're back on the wing, you're banged up for a few hours, you go back out for lunch to work, and then, you know, you're back behind yourself for the rest of the evening. And what I found really useful, you know, I actually still use it today, I would pretty much write down what I was doing every single day. So from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right through till Sunday. I'd probably start the day at about 7 a.m. right through till 9 a.m. And for me, again, if you're in contact with any prisoners, try and get them to write themselves up a weekly timetable. It might sound a bit odd that, you know, I can't go here, there, but if they can plan their day the best that they can possibly do, that's something I massively, I really, really do recommend. And for me as well, it was, I still live my life like that. It's very unusual getting used to with Zoom and digital things. I'm a very analog person. Just to give you a little look at what so there's not much written in my diary at the moment because there is a lot of lockdown and I'm pretty much working non-stop in a crowdfunder. But having this as a general, you know, as a general timeline, what you can see here is pretty much what I used to put on my prison wall. And, you know, I'd know exactly what I'm doing on the hour. And I always advise people to do their fitness exercise as early as possible. Because once you do your fitness in a cell, at home, on lockdown, or anywhere, you're going to be getting those feel-good hormones, those feel-good feelings throughout the rest of the day. So the earlier you're doing a cardio-based workout, you will then feel the benefits throughout the day. What I'm going to show you now is the Cell Workout book. Again, when I had the idea for the book, when I first went to jail, I was not a personal trainer. I didn't know what I was doing. But my turning point in prison was when I got onto the personal training course in Pentonville. And for me, it was a massive interest in it. I thought if I can get this qualification, I might be able to get a job after leaving prison, which I did. I got a job at Virgin Active 2 weeks after leaving jail. But for me, you know, again, putting my sort of business-minded head on, I knew I was my target market then. I had a lot of time on my hands, wanting to keep fit, but didn't have access to the prison gym. And that's when I started to, you know, people do cell workouts anyway in prison. Sometimes they might, you know, bend the rules a little bit and put their beds upside down for chin-ups, or they might put water containers into pillowcases for upright rows and curls. Other people sometimes roll up their mattresses and put them into chairs for curls and upright rows, which it's breaking prison property, it's dangerous, it's, you know, there's all these different elements to it. So the idea for me, after I got my personal training qualification, was I noticed that there's around 90,000 people in prison, and they all want to try and keep fit, but they don't have access to the prison gym. So every prison is different, every wing in every prison is different, and access to the gym can vary. So when I actually finally got my job in the prison gym after I got qualified as a personal trainer, I was working with the remedial team. So remedials are people with disabilities, people with coming back from injuries, people that are over 60, maybe people that you might be dealing with on a daily basis. And each person was saying to me, LJ, look, I'm only getting down to the gym once a week. I don't know what to do whilst I'm in my cell. And, you know, business minded, I thought, okay, there's 90,000 people want to keep fit, don't necessarily want to be able don't necessarily want to be a personal trainer, but actually want to get involved. And there's a big word for me is autonomy. You know, you're so limited in what you can do and when you can do it, but having any sort of autonomy in prison, that self of doing something yourself, not being able to be told, or not having to ask someone to do something, is such a big thing. And you know, that's when I took the prison timetable, that regime, and you know, I absolutely worked that to my advantage, and I still work with that sort of day-to-day planning. But in terms of the autonomy of the cell workout book, in terms of some people working with people with any sort of mental illness, I suffered with quite a lot of ADHD as a kid, and I've always had quite hard reading abilities, dyslexic. My friends sometimes take the mickey at me to say, you know, how are you an author? But for me, it wasn't so much how much I was writing. I wanted to create a book that was accessible to everyone. And this is the first original copy that I self-published with the help of the Prince's Trust, which I'll give you a little flick through on sharing the screen. But for me, I wanted to be able to write the book as a concept. Cell workout meant for me keeping fit with bodyweight training in a confined space, so no equipment whatsoever. And the ultimate reason for writing the book, that actual physical book, was I took to the idea of, just say if someone's down the block, so down the block means you've been a naughty boy or girl and you've been taken down to a separate part of the prison. You've got 4 walls and that's it, and a lot of time to think. And my idea was to write a book that would sort of be timeless, in the fact that if someone had nothing at all, just 4 walls and this book, it would become something they could get really engrossed in. Because look, our attention spans with technology, we can touch of a button, we can go onto YouTube, we can go onto this webinar, we can watch TV, DVDs. There's so much, too much choice. But I wanted to simplify things, and the reason why I did simplify things was for my own benefit as well, because, you know, struggling to be able to read when I was younger, you know, I had a really bad reading level. I wanted to make the book as easy as possible, step by step. I wanted everyone to understand how to work out this book. I wanted the exercises to start easy, progressive, and then advanced. So, and again, even for men and women, you know, I'm a firm believer that men and women don't train any different. I guess men might naturally be stronger through testosterone. Women might be more flexible through estrogen. These are just body parts of us. But, you know, for someone to be able to pick up this book, get involved in it, it's a tangible thing. And I have had a lot of, when I'm going back about the segregation, I've had feedback from prison governors, prison officers and inmates that have said, this book sorted my head out when I was down the block. Or a governor said, every time someone goes down the block, I give them your book. So what I actually sought out to produce has actually happened. So I'm going to share the screen now, and just to give you a little bit of a flick through with the book, just to show you how I wrote it, how people might be able to benefit from that, and, you know, the general connection with the book. So bear with me. Is that coming up okay? Do you see that?
Oh. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, actually, I've just clicked on the wrong one, sorry. Okay, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, just to give you a little bit of a brief rundown of what the book is. And again, when I had the idea in 2012, the book actually took 3.5 years to write. So from initial idea to trying to work out how to write it, what the book would look like, the feel of the book, the support from the Prince's Trust to make this a thing, a million knockbacks from publishers. So I self-produced the book and self-published the book. There was only one thing in my mind and in my heart was, you know, the amount of times I wanted to actually give up and think, you know, I'm really struggling being able to write this book, the thing that sort of kept me going was the fact that I was once that person in prison, locked behind a door for 22 hours a day with no access to the gym. I was that person, and I'm not being funny, the vast majority of people in the prison service are that person right now. So it's, and another good thing is that the book's actually going to go on the prison canteen sheet. So people can actually select the book, and it's being rolled out over 15 prisons next week as an introduction. But, you know, I think it's great that people can get it. So just, yeah, to run through. Okay, so on the write down here, what I've broke down is there's a lot of photographs in the book, and for me, I'm a very visual person. I guess a lot of people know people do tend to struggle with their reading abilities, and I think reading abilities and people not being able to have a very high level of reading is, you know, something like, I think it's like 70%. Don't quote me on them stats, but I know it's very, very high. So I want it to be as simple as possible. Why I wrote the book, cell workout, benefits of body weight training, anatomical. I wanted to make it as engaging as for people as possible, bite-sized chunks. And for people in prison, you know, I want everyone to get the point. Doesn't matter if they're young, old, different reading levels. But the vast majority of it is down at 27 with exercises. That's when the exercise chapter starts. So just to run you through, again, I give them a little bit of rundown to why I actually wrote the book. It generally just says a little bit about me. I explain what a cell workout is in brief terms. Benefits of body weight training. So again, I'm trying to, the reader and the person reading this book is, and actually as well, I'd be happy to share this PDF with you as well. It's a PDF of the book. If you can keep the book internal and not share it too widely, this is more for your use, and, you know, just because I think my publisher might get the ump with me. So if I can send over the book for you to read through, but the benefits of body weight training. And again, I'm trying to engage people on a one-page thing. You know, what it hasn't just got to be weights. There's a lot of preconception in prison. You want to get hench, lift the big boy weights. But, you know, in terms of injuries and certain things, it's body weight training is an amazing way. It's so accessible that all you got to do is hop out of bed and you can do it where you're standing. And again, I've given people a little bit. So when I've done all my personal training qualification in prison, you know, to find out that when you're doing a press up or a bench press, you're working your chest and triceps. You know, this is, again, just to give people an idea of what muscle groups was, because I had to keep taking myself back to when I went to prison. I wasn't a personal trainer. I didn't do the Active IQ course. So again, this is giving people a basic understanding of where the muscle groups are. And again, telling people basic training principles. So again, they're understanding what a heart rate is, how to train to an intensity, what resistance training is, what a type of training is, because we've all been that person that's been to the gym for the first time, does a few exercises over here, does a little bit on the cross trainer, does a little bit on the free weights, and then just sometimes not structuring your workout to an effective way. So that's what I wanted to give them the tools to really understand, is that if you want to get the results, you need to know how to train, what your rep count, set count, intensity, how long you should train for that day, how many times you should train a week, depending on who you are. So again, going back to autonomy, these first few pages of the book, once people read that, they get an understanding of, okay, in complete layman's terms, if I do that, this is the sort of routine I need to do. And again, there's a 10-week workout at the back. Again, training terminology, you know, muscles, antagonists, you know, compound, isolation movements, reps, sets, tempo. I didn't know any of this. I said, when I first done my first ever cell workout, when I first went to prison in end of 2011, I'd done some press ups. I stopped. I didn't know how long to wait for. I didn't know how many reps I should be doing. So this gives people that initial understanding. Components of total fitness. And again, these prison photographs you see throughout the book, these have all been, I actually got access to Pentonville prison to have these photographs. And again, each photo is a bit of a progression till someone leaving at the end. So again, resistance training, and again, it's not too overbearing for people to understand. And again, here, different types of training for muscular strength, power, endurance. And again, if you want to do more of a cardiovascular exercise, it's trying to tell people what it is. Flexibility training. Again, I'm a big supporter of like mobilization, stretching, and flexibility. I'm always telling people that, you know, the first thing you do when you get out of bed should be a 10-minute mobilization workout, which I'm going to go on to in a minute. Active stretching. Again, active stretching is something you do before training. Passive stretching is something that you do during your cool down. Yeah, this cell on the screen right now, that was my cell, A221 in Pentonville. So again, that was where I spent them. That's where I actually wrote the book. So that's why I put it in there. Yeah, so in the next chapter here, mobilization. I think it's a massive thing with mobilization that this is accessible to everyone and anyone, young, old, men and women. So again, to go through this, to work from your neck, this is what I'd say to people during workouts in prison, to work from your neck all the way down to your legs. I think it's a great way to just get the body moving as simply as possible. Rotations, flexions. Again with joints, you know, you got flexion. So this is a flexion, that's an extension, that's a rotation. Okay, so whatever. Again, I'm rotating my joint, my shoulder here. I'm flexing my elbow here, and I'm extending my elbow there. Those are the only three things that you can do with joints, and doing that with each one of your joints, you know, one at a time. And I advise everyone, you know, after this webinar to do a mobilization exercise from the neck down to your legs, and just feel how you're feeling, because I imagine everyone's sitting down on their chairs a lot at the moment with various webinars and emails, and I'm the same as well. So just to try and get that mobility to your lower back would be great. Again, that's why the mobilization, because people sometimes tend to skip warm-ups, but cardio exercise is for here. You know, you need to then go on to these exercises once you've done a full warm-up. Again, because the cardio, your heart rate is going to be a lot higher for this. Your impact on the body is going to be harder. And with a warm-up, you're putting fluid into your joints. So with impact, if you don't do your warm-up, you know, the actual exercises you're not going to be prepared for. So these are cardio benefits, and that's what I'm saying to people. If you can do an early morning cardio workout, that as early as you can in your day. So everyone listening now, if you can do an early morning cardio workout with these type of exercises, because look, jogging on the spot, sprinting on the spot, everyone can basically do that where they are right now. Glute kickers, high knees, power knee strikes, squat thrusts, sumo squat thrusts. There's a lot of variation. And again, that's why I wrote the book with Cell Workout. I thought, what is Cell Workout? It's body weight. And for me, I'd had to then work out, okay, what are the chapters? So warm-up cardio, jumping jacks, and each exercise now is beginning to get a little bit harder. So each chapter starts off easy and works up to the harder exercises. Burpees, I know everyone loves burpees. Okay, again, so warm-ups, cardio, and what I'm going to run you through quickly now is exercises. You know, I showed you the anatomical position: shoulders, chest, back, abs, obliques, legs. So I'm going to go through these chapters quite quickly. So here, shoulders. Again, everyone had the preconception that you need to lift weights to work certain muscle groups. People do split training. A split training system, a 5-way split training system, is training for 5 days, and each day you train a different part of the muscle group. Okay, so for 5 days, say shoulders, chest, back, arms, legs. That's, you know, that would be some sort of a 5-way split. So that's, again, I always give people, if people want to do a shoulders day, again, here are some exercises that they can do whilst in their cell. So shoulders, here, all these sort of exercises. Again, going on to your chest again. again, I've started it off with a wall press up. The wall press ups are, if you can't do a full press, not a normal standard press up, again, I want people to work to what their abilities are. So a wall press up might be fine for someone who's over 70, 80, or, whatever age, or coming back from a disability, coming back from a shoulder injury. So again, press ups on your knees, to press ups, to close press ups, staggered press ups, which are going to work more core, chest squeezes, flexions here, plyometric press ups. So again, you really do take it to a high level. Back exercises, again here, a tricky one for the back. So when you do a back exercise, imagine you're rowing. You need to pull something towards your body, okay? Imagine you're doing a pull-up. You need to put your arms up on the bar to then come in for a pull-up. So you haven't got anything to pull or your resistance on. So again, the great thing about this back chapter is that it works all the muscles in the rectus spinae, which is your lower back. And again, although you can't get the width and all the mid-back like size, at least you can, if you've got any sort of back problems from sitting down at the desk too long or whatever, again, here, flexions, extensions, these good mornings. So good mornings do exactly what they say in the tin. Every morning, if you've done a few of these in the morning, you're going to feel a lot lesser and less back pain. So again, incorporate a lot more sort of yoga and Pilates into this now, cat-cows, cobras, up dog, down dog, for anyone that's done a bit of yoga. Again, these are all exercises that you can do whilst in your cell with no equipment. And again, abs, I want to go through these a little bit quicker now. Yeah. So you've got a lot of chest here. So again, you can just see the amount of different exercises that people can do whilst at home or in their cell. Leg exercises, legs. So there's like a massive array of exercises. But I've also included static stretching as well. So if you want to just after your workout, always make sure that you stretch after. So you've got a lot of stretches here. And also, again, one that, again, if you can pass this chapter on to people in prison for relaxation techniques, again, going back to that timetable, is that you need to try and tell people to write a timetable for their day. If they've got no timetable or no focus and no structure, you're not going to achieve anything. So relaxation, say to them, what time is your relaxation going to be during the day? Look, a corpse pose, like Savasana pose, it tells you quite clearly how to sort of go through your breathing techniques, what you need to do, how to sort of stay present in the moment. But, during your time of relaxation, again, we've got another variation here. So it's not just, again, this book, it's warm-ups, all muscle groups, relaxation, and again, even some simple meditation exercises. So for people to sort of read through this, if they can incorporate that into their daily, again, especially if you're dealing with people with mental health problems, if they can do some relaxation and meditation, please take these pages and pass them on however you can to people in prison, because that they are going to need it. So, and again, there's a 10-week workout at the back. So that's just going through what the workout is there, and just going back a page. Sorry, just to talk you through this page quickly. It tells you what the 10-week workout is, and down the side where it says body weight training guidelines, it goes beginner, intermediate, advanced. So everything is adaptable for someone in prison or someone at home at the moment who wants to train. And to think as well, if we can recommend a 10-week workout to someone, 10 weeks is 2.5 months. How long is this lockdown going to be really going on for? If we're to say that we start our 1 week program, it's always good to start things on a Monday, I believe, to start that 10-week program next Monday, skip forward 2.5 months, that would, be a massive benefit to someone inside prison right now who can't get to the gym. They've got focus. They know that they can then train for the next 10 weeks. Again, week 1's full body, week 2's full body. Week 3, you're working your upper body one day, your lower body the next day. So you're splitting out your rest breaks, okay? So just going back to the full body, you're training every muscle group in the body, okay? So you are going to feel muscles ache probably equally. But then whilst you train your upper body one day, you train your lower body the next day, which gives your upper body some time to recover from all sort of muscle tears. Again, splitting it up a little bit more, pull day would be anything for lower back and core. Then we go on to a leg day, which is again just training all the muscles groups in the legs, and then push would be chest and shoulders and triceps. So again, the first 6 weeks are quite focused on toning, working all the muscle groups in the body, whereas the last month, you're really going to hit the cardio now, okay? And again, you haven't got to go on a treadmill, you haven't got to go running around the yards. You can do these exercises in the cell. So remember that cardio chapter that come after mobilization. This is a great way of putting cardio into your cell, into your bodyweight workout. And again, there's an exercise index there. And that's a picture for me to every prisoner saying, it will be okay. It will be okay. Just come off that. Just going back onto Zoom. This one, does anyone have any questions up to date? Have you had any questions through, Megan, at all?
Not just yet, but if people would like to start putting them through, but to get you going, I can give you a question.
Yeah, of course.
I saw that you have had cell workout evaluated. I didn't know if you could give us a bit of an update on that.
Yeah, of course. I've got that here. I'm going to share that with you now. So I'm going to bring that up onto the next page.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's fine. If I can find it.
Oh, we've got a question for you.
Okay, yep.
Did you notice these exercises helped you mentally survive in prison as well as get fit? Would you say it added to your resilience? That was from Lucia.
Yeah, I think for me, the saving, like when I first went to prison, I was, my mental health was down really low. It was after, being on remand's a very tough thing. I didn't have a proper prison job. Again, I was doing various exercises. What felt like a bit of a saving grace for my mental health and, in terms of, wanting to push forward and work towards my release was actually doing the personal training course. So the exercises that are in this book, I hadn't even thought of yet. So I wasn't actually getting to use them because I was going to the prison library to try and write the book. All prison fitness books were either being stolen, have either been stolen or had pages ripped out. Cell Workout is now the most stolen book in prison. So for me, personally, it was a very therapeutic thing to actually, because I was, again, occupying my time. I had to occupy my time the best I could. Again, going back to that word autonomy. Once I got onto the personal training course, that was 2.5 months. So for me, I was going to college for the day. So it was taking me out of my, it was just, but yeah, for me, I just sort of viewed it as I was going to college and I could occupy my time. Once that finished, there was a lull. I was like, what do I do now? I really sort of need to get back to where I was and, keeping myself busy, which then was writing Cell Workout, designing the moves that I could from my mind, because look, we have access to everything. Touch the button, we have access to that. They have nothing in there. They can't even get to the library, I imagine, because I imagine if people are touching books and passing books round, that's a way of passing on the disease. So for me, it was therapeutic to be able to write the book. I'd spend every hour of my cell. There was 185 pages of exercises, and I'd try them all out. And for me, the writing process, the writing, going on to the evaluation in a minute, the physiological and psychological benefits that writing and training, those combined was quite powerful for me, really made a big difference.
Thank you. I've got another question for you. Any comments on prison nutrition, e.g. protein requirement?
Yeah, protein's always a massive one that comes up in prison on the wings. I was that person to try and work out proteins with, you know, my training. But in terms of dietary, you know, I actually do give out sort of nutrition plans to people in prison to work out how to balance. Sort of how to balance what they get on servery with canteen. And I absolutely appreciate that people have different amounts of money in prison, because some people can get money sent in, some people don't have any family or friends to do that. I'm not sure what the scenarios with people working in prison or if they're still getting their pay. I'm always advising people to have a balance between canteen and servery. You know, I don't, you know, just living on the servery foods isn't great. You know, it's, again, if you haven't got the additional money to buy the, but there are choices on the canteen sheet. And for me, I always say to people, you know, to have a tin of tuna, if you can arrange meals. So again, when I was training for my book, I was eating meals every 3 hours. And the base of that meal that I was eating outside for, you know, this is after I'd left prison, was a tin of tuna, half a pack of Uncle Ben's whole grain rice or couscous, and spinach. That was essentially what I was eating. But the next meal, I'd replace that with a chicken breast. But people do have access to, you know, to tins of tuna. And for me, it's for them to be, you know, what are they spending their canteen money on? What choices are they making from the servery? I know prison food always gets a bit of a bad rep, but there's enough there with canteen to make the informed choices. But it is, and you know what I say to people in prison, you know, you've got the food here, and people are always keen to eat better in prison. But what I say to people, like, you are in jail at the minute, you've got to suck it up a little bit, try and buy the right foods from the canteen to complement the servery. But I say to everyone, when you get out of jail, I know people get out of prison at different times, is that, you know, you can then go and cook whatever you want. That's what freedom is. That you can then, you know, I've been on a lot of different workshops up and down the country, and people that sometimes are really sort of laying into the prison food. I can sometimes tell these, you know, just from sort of looking at, you know, just from appearance or what they might be doing, is that they've probably never actually cared about their nutrition before prison. I'm not being judgmental, I'm just taking some things just from what I can sort of say and see and sense. But yeah, I'd say to people, look, eat, you know, combine your canteen and servery the best you can whilst in prison. You know, make all the informed choices from that canteen sheet. And then, yeah, but then the main thing is when you leave prison, for me, I think there's a 2-week window when you leave jail of, you know, do you have you made changes in prisons? Are you going to continue to make those changes after prison? And if you're not continuing with a good routine or doing right things, if after 2 weeks, you may be slipping back into whatever way's got you back into jail in the first place. So I say to people, get onto your nutrition plan as soon as you get out of jail. Because I used to get all the I used to go get fitness magazines wherever I could. And again, writing the cell workout book, it was useless because the exercise magazines had exercises that you couldn't do in your cell, foods and nutrition that you couldn't cook whilst in prison, all sportswear that you couldn't do, or holidays you couldn't go on. So they're actually, for me, it was, I don't know, I just didn't like reading them because I couldn't then go and use that thing. So I was really conscious that 2 weeks after I left jail, I maintained my prison regime. Again, going back to my diary a little bit with the day-to-days, I maintained that prison regime. I then cooked for the first time in my life, getting out of jail. I never cooked when I went to jail before I went to jail. I was, you know, I used to play football, but then I got a bit overweight with drinking and other various negative things. So doing that in prison, I was really infused to actually going to cook my own food when I got out of prison, and I got a job 2 weeks after leaving jail. So it was that continued positive thing, that prison regime, which I used for my own autonomy, actually helped out a lot.
Yeah, I've got a few questions for you now. Let's take them to roll in.
Okay.
So how did you get enrolled onto the personal training course whilst in services, and who delivered it?
So in prisons, again, getting onto various education courses are massively different right across the board. For me, when I was in Pentonville, I feel I was very, very lucky in this respect, because I see a poster up on the prison wall. Active IQ was the people that actually, they actually wrote the course. So Active IQ wrote the course. The prison PEI, so the prison physical education instructors, so they work in the gym department. They are prison officers but work in the gym department. They was trained to deliver the Active IQ course. So for me, it was an amazing experience that I got to go to education every day. It was delivered by, the best PEIs in Pentonville. It was an amazing tuition. I've got to say it was an amazing tuition. I say there is probably a little bit of I've got to be honest, there is a slight negative element to it, because at this point here, I really wanted to cling on to something to then work towards. And again, I didn't know how to train in the gym, so doing that course actually helped me learn how to keep fit. It would have cost £3,000 to £4,000 if I was to do it outside, so I'd save money. It ate up 2.5 months of my prison term, which I enjoyed, and it got me a job. But I've got to say, I always say this to people when I go to my workshops in prisons. Again, when I'm talking to the men and the women who are actually in jail, I say, I got involved in this course and I was engaged. I wanted to give back to the prison because I felt like they sort of gave some investment to me. And, there was about 35 people that started that course. And I say to everyone in the group, I go, 35 people started. How many people do you think bothered to finish? And it's 4 people. And for me, I think that is a horrendous number, a horrendous figure. And I've got to give the reasons why people didn't bother. I made sure I got put on hold so I could finish. Some people did get shipped out to different prisons or different court appearances, but the prison tried to select people that would actually complete the duration of the course. So the prison were quite mindful to pick the right people. But if I can be honest, people didn't wake up in the morning to go free flow. People didn't bother doing the coursework. I think people generally, some people bullied themselves onto the course to make sure they had to do it, and then sometimes felt they may be a little bit too good for it, or thought, no, I'm not going to bother doing that. But for me, again, when I'm doing my workshops to people in prison, when I got, if there's 1,000 people in that prison, I might deliver to 50 in the morning, 50 in the afternoon. I say to the people I'm delivering to, look, I'm only at 10%, 10%? Yeah, I'm only delivering to 10% here today. What's the other 900 people doing? And again, it's, I always try to work with the people that have already got a bit, or trying to get people into that mindset of, to say, what are you going to do? To sit on the wing like you do every other day. But I was very lucky to get on that course and so grateful for the prison for doing it. But in terms of people wanting, I'm a massive supporter and ambassador for the Prisoner Education Trust. This, again, they must be a crucial charity to people in prison right now, that they can actually get any course, not any course, but courses that people want to do in prison, they can apply for the Prisoner Education Trust. They then pay the fee of how much that course costs, with some contribution from the prison, and then the prisoner can actually do it whilst in their cell. So for the active, to deliver their level 1, 2, and 3 personal trainer, they can absolutely do the theory, but then they'd have to wait to do their practical either at a different time in their prison sentence or when they get out of jail. So it was different ways of doing it in prison.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this question in one respect, but do you have any advice or adaptations for those who are heavily obese or struggling with side effects of medication?
It's again, it's again with medications, it probably depends on what illness or what they're taking that medication for. I remember, just being on the wing myself, people going for their medication. It was always sometimes a bit of a free for all sometimes, and I've no idea how the health team are actually dealing with people's medication in prison at the moment. I assume they're probably just delivering it to their doors, but fitness is, it's a free medication. It's, there's a saying that you never ever regret a workout. If you go out for a run or do some fitness, you're never going to regret that. If they can incorporate some cardio fitness into their day to day, they've got 24 hours in the cell right now. Even if they have mental health or whatever problems they've got, to include some, it could start as 10 minutes. It could start with people. If you could recommend people who have severe mental health or on various medications, if they can do that mobilization chapter, that is a massive step forward to help, in terms of their mindset, because, endorphins are free, but it takes a little bit of effort to do some exercise to get those natural feel good factor.
Thank you. Next question. Have you ever run your cell workouts to groups? I work as a personal trainer in a psychiatric hospital and was wondering if these workouts could be done as exercise circuits whilst following social distancing.
So I haven't, since the lockdown come in, I was pretty much, future. That's why I've tried to get all my Inside Time articles over to people to read. That's another resource actually I'll pass over. I've got 40 Inside Time fitness articles that I've written over the past 4 years. So I'll be sure to send them over to people who can, if you can share this to people in prisons or psychiatric wards. If there's a way that I can help with this person who's just made that suggestion in terms of, actually I've got a picture to show actually. So when I actually deliver my workshops in Wandsworth, which I hope to get onto in a minute, I'm sure you can see the floor markings there. So I actually used to actually produce, everyone had their individual cells. They had to stand in their individual cells to train as a group. Maybe we could work on something like that to, again, measure out 2 meter distances whilst people can then actually train, if they can train outside. I don't know if that's an option either, because if you're in a confined space and if there's a cough, that if it's done outside, I guess that cough might carry up into, just the sky or something though. But yeah, happy to follow up on that question as well after this as well, if you'd like.
Brilliant. You mentioned rolling out in some prisons in the near future. Can you tell us more about this?
Sorry, what was that?
You mentioned rolling out in some prisons in the near future. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, so just to give you a brief timeline, from writing the book was the main idea, and I got that self-published in 2015, and then I actually got a few invitations into prison. But for me, actually, what I might do, I might share the screen as I answer this next question. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So in terms of my prison work, my only ambition was I wanted to prove to myself that I had an idea that I believe was good, and I wanted to write a book. But the scope of what cell workout has now gone on to is, different levels, with working in prisons, workshops. I work with 20 ex-offender trainers who all work within the cell workout team, who come deliver to various prisons with me. But the actual start of the cell workout workshops really become in end of 2016, when I met Ian Bickers, who's just on the screen here, who was the prison governor at Wandsworth at that time. And he was like, look, LJ, he bought a book and he recognised how I could sort of relate to people in prison on a slightly different level to actual prison officers, because you know, I was once upon a time in their shoes, and you know, actually know what it's like to be in that position. And I actually got a grant from the Ministry of Justice to come and deliver in Wandsworth Prison in 2017. And this is actually when I actually created the cell workout workshop and trying to deliver what a cell workout workshop is. And for me, it's always been about physiological and what's the two? Is it physiological and
Psychological?
Psychological, that's it. So again, mind and body, I've always loved the combination of the two. And I think, you know, the two have to work in hand. And Ian Bickers gave me the start and actually got a contract to work in Wandsworth Prison. It felt very strange going for my first day work in prison when they said, LJ, you're off to key training. I was like, I'm an ex-offender, I can't have a set of keys. But they've, you know, they didn't just hand out a set of keys to anyone. They knew the value of my work was, and I would probably be the last person to want to mess up or do anything wrong, because, you know, this is probably going to be my life's work. And although it rubbed a few officers up the wrong way because I was, you know, felt like I was stepping on their shoes, or I shouldn't be allowed in the prison, which was quite a hard process to start with, actually. 6 months in a massive prison, knowing I was an ex-offender, but feeling like eyes was sort of on me a little bit. But again, I had to stick out 6 months, and over the 6 months, opinions quickly changed. But coming on in terms of the rollout as well, just again, so Ian Bickers gave me a start in Wandsworth to deliver 2-week workshops. Again, here's an executive summary. So this is, so what, if you want to have a quick read of just a little bit down the sides, I will share this with you all after if you haven't got it already. That, you know, delivering this one prison in 2017 was great. And it just showed how much people wanted to, you know, spend their time, you know, well in prison. You know, I worked with some really ambitious, creative, nice people who have made a mistake, but I was always working with people that wanted to help themselves. But since 2007, last year as well, sorry, 2017, last year actually went on a bit of a tour of the prison service. Again, I was still a one-man band at that point, and it was a chance to outreach for myself. I got to, you know, I think I've been to about 47 prisons now. So I think there's roughly about 110 prisons. So I've been to 47, men, women's, young offenders, older population, Cat A, B, C, D, so right across the board, which, you know, again, why I've now become a social enterprise, and I'm going to soon to be a charity as well later this year, is that people was just like afraid of not being able to get a job after prison. These are the worries that I had. When they're saying to me, you know, I've got this criminal record because I got done for this, or, you know, I was that person that got involved in a fight and my life had completely changed. And I knew I had to get myself out of the mess that I'd put myself into. Again, hence cell workout. I hope that can be something for other people as well that they can sort of get onto. And again, I'm working with 20 people now who work from Brighton all the way up to Scotland. So there's a team of people that I'm hoping to can work in different prisons. In terms of the rollout, it's a gradual thing. Again, I've worked in 47 prisons now, all for one-day sessions. People do want the 2-week workshop that I delivered in Wandsworth, which went down really well. But again, for me in capacity, I'm still one person. It's quite hard to go and deliver a 2-week workshop in another part of the country at the moment. But I'm hoping, with the support of the cell workout trainers I've got now, that we can do that on a larger scale. And as well with the crowdfunder I've got going on at the moment, that's what we're trying to raise money for at the moment, to actually provide more opportunities to people in prison.
We've just got 5 minutes left.
Yep.
Is there anything else that you wanted to cover in that 5 minutes, or shall I ask you a couple more questions?
Yeah, questions, please. And again, with just with what the cell workout workshop is, this was a real in-depth, PhD level study from Royal Holloway. It's not a quick read, but it really, there's a lot of diary extracts, there's a lot of case studies, and, you know, this is real life people giving what their opinions are about what it's like to be in prison. So again, if you want to go through and read the diary extracts or the case studies, really gives you a sense and a feel of the people that I work with, where they're at in their life, what their ambitions was before the workshops and what they are now, and how we can help people in the community. So it is a good read. But yeah, happy to answer whatever questions there are left.
Okay, so there's a couple relating to your experience of publishing. So why is it so difficult to get the book published, and what advice do you have for someone that wanted to write a book?
For me, so again, I had the idea, Cell Workout, it's just a prison term name. And for me, my starting point was finding out what was Cell Workout. And for me, when I sort of, again, this is my original first ever copy that come through the front door. And this was my republished version, which Hodder and Staunton put. And just that little quote there, the no equipment workout for your small space. And again, once I had the concept there, Cell Workout, train all the muscle groups. And again, when I worked out, so I had the idea and the concept there, but so again, going on to the exercises, that was the basis. And for me, any advice I can give to someone is, what are you trying to achieve? What does this look like? My book was never going to be very wordy because of my reading ability. I wanted it to be more of a tangible, get involved, more of a workbook more so than a book. But from writing, again, when I was trying to get publishing deals, I remember wasting a lot of time trying to write to publishers, and I had no idea about the publishing industry. I've never worked in the publishing industry, but what I was doing as I was creating the book, I was really creating a product that I had creative, I own creatively, and I knew where it was going. And it dawned on me to get a publisher right now whilst I was still creating the book, because how can I explain what I'm doing when I haven't actually got anything? I knew I had a lot of work to do. And again, once I went so far with the book, and reaching out to the Prince's Trust was the absolute difference to what I've done. If it wasn't for the Prince's Trust, they helped me with business, they helped me with printing, they helped me with, they give me a business mentor who I've now worked with for the past 4 years. It was having that additional support to fill in the blanks that I didn't know was massive. So again, whatever, you're never going to know everything. The main thing is, push on with your idea, hit home with what you're trying to achieve. But then, again, at the back here, just to put a little bit level. So everyone included in this book, that's the level of people that went into the creation of this book. The book cost me £3,500 to produce. The book, the production of the book has been quoted £60,000. So I put, again, if ever you're setting goals, you've got to put the SMART acronym into that. And for me, the time, I knew it was going to take time because I didn't have the resources. Again, 3.5 years is a very long time to spend on a project, but I knew what I wanted to create. I had creative control over that, and I didn't mind taking the time. But you need to, I think, if you're writing a book, write down pretty clearly what are you trying to achieve. And it would be great if you could reach out to me after. It'd be good to hear what you're trying to do, or if you're trying to help someone.
Okay, then I think we're going to finish up on this comment that someone's put through, which I thought was quite nice. I think you've done very well and have covered a range of audiences. It's great that you have covered accessible exercises for prisoners, but also it is useful at home if you have no equipment. You cover a range of levels that individuals can achieve, from easy to hard. I think this is so encouraging for many individuals in prison in so many ways. Amazing work.
Oh, well, I can't wait to share that after, if that's okay. And but again, if anyone wants to reach out or ask any questions, shall I give my email address out over here, or it's?
You can do. Well, I can include it in the email that we send out to everyone, if you like.
Well, if you do that, and as well, if you've got a pen and paper on you, my email is l.j.flanders@cell-workout.com. But I'm sure it'll go over into the comments section after. And if you want to hear a little bit more about what Cell Workout's doing, we've got a crowdfunder that's live at the moment. So if you want to go onto my page or website, there's a massive crowdfund that's got 3 more days to run. If you want to check out what we're trying to do, and if anyone wants to get involved, or any opinions or any ideas, or any way that I can help you and the people to reach out, please get in touch.
Thank you. I think everyone can agree that was a really useful and helpful session, and it's incredible what you've achieved as well, and sure it's been a huge benefit to many people, especially in such tough circumstances. So thank you so much for taking the time to share that with us today. And like I said, we have recorded it, so we'll be sharing that out with people. And I know you mentioned before the webinar started, LJ, that we'll try and get this into prisons as well, so the men and women can see it too, which would be really positive. So thank you very much.
Great. Any questions, please get in touch and stay safe.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.